Well, joining us, Republican senatorial candidate for California, Carly Fiorina. Welcome to the program, Ms. Fiorina.
Great
Good to have you with
you,
us.
Stuart. Call me Carly.
Carly, I know you've got a primary coming up. I just described you as the senatorial candidate. Get over that and you'll be the Republican senatorial candidate.
Yes, I will.
Is California the next Greece?
Well, or maybe more to the point, is America the next California? You know, California is the test case of what happens when government gets bigger and bigger, taxes get higher and higher, regulation gets thicker and thicker, and public employees' pensions and benefits continue to rise. And what we have is a state that is destroying jobs at a historic rate. We have an unemployment average that's way above the national average. We have 8 counties with unemployment rates above 20%. We're in a situation where it's not just that we can't afford our government anymore. It's not just that the services that government delivers are getting worse, not better. It's that the underpinnings of our economy are being destroyed.
Now, in the short run, you can't cut enough to cover that deficit in California. I know I'm speaking about state politics and state finance at the moment. You're going to go to the federal level. In the short term, you can't cover it. If you become the senator from California, would you push for a bailout from the federal government? Because that would solve the immediate short-term problem.
I would not push for a bailout, but here's what we have to do to solve any debt or deficit problem. It's kind of basic, simple to say, very difficult to do, particularly for professional politicians who sometimes lack the will. We have to grow the economy and we have to cut spending. We have to grow the economy and we have to cut spending.
But you've got to raise money in the short term.
Well,
California's got to have access to money. You're going to borrow it. If you borrow it, it's a very high interest rate.
That's right. And, you know, technically speaking, California cannot go bankrupt. That's cold comfort to people. But we're going to have to cut spending. For example, the mayor of Los Angeles right now is begging the unions to make some sacrifices similar to the sacrifices that employees in the private sector have made. So we're going to have a big standoff there. Yes, we're going to have to cut spending, and that includes some benefit pensions. But we also have to grow the economy. We are destroying small businesses. We are making it very difficult for new businesses to grow. The only way we can continue or return to a tax base that makes sense in California is to grow the economy.
But that's a national issue.
Yes, it is.
Small businesses across the country.
That's right.
We're going to raise taxes most likely. We're probably going to see if that tax come. If you could ask this administration to do something, then what would it be to help businesses across the board?
Well, let's start with a 2-year payroll tax holiday for every small business that hires an unemployed worker. Let's start with a 5-year tax holiday period for new businesses that form in California or elsewhere. Let's start with saying to companies that have put facilities and employees overseas, we'll give you a 10-year tax holiday if you bring those facilities and employees back. There's some very clear things that we know work because other countries use them.
Would you keep the Bush tax cuts on the upper 1% and 2% of income earners?
Absolutely.
You would keep it. You wouldn't roll them back. You wouldn't get rid of them.
I would not roll them back. I would also kill the estate tax, which, by the way, has a disproportionate impact on family businesses and on agriculture in particular, which is a huge industry in California.
I'm sorry, but it doesn't seem that you're reflecting current Republican thinking. I mean, I've not heard that from many Republicans.
Well, look, I'm not a professional politician. This is the first time I've run for office, but what I am is someone who's created jobs. I started as a secretary. I became a CEO. I've lived the American dream, and so I know what works. We know what works because other states and other countries take our jobs by using these tools that work.
I got goosebumps when you talked about that 2-year tax holiday. I want to kind of change course a little bit. In a speech at Stanford,
does that mean that those are good goosebumps?
Good goosebumps. In 2007, you were describing a leader as someone who changes the order of things. Now, your foes have said that it means that you're not a good listener and that you won't admit to your own faults. You just talked about not being a professional politician. I think America wants non-professional politicians because after watching that fiasco last night, that hearing, we can see that this sort of divisiveness is out there. What do you think you can bring from the private sector to government to sort of erase this sort of animosity that's holding us back?
Well, how about common sense? How about a lifetime of practical problem solving? How about a knowledge of what actually works? It isn't about ideology, although I have some very strongly held core principles that are important to me and that I won't compromise on. But what we know is if you will give businesses, particularly small businesses, innovators, entrepreneurs, a break, they will create jobs. If we use some of the same tools that Texas uses to take jobs out of California, or China uses to take jobs out of California, it's not rocket science. They give us tax breaks. They give us access to credit. They help businesses move through a thicket of regulation. The thicket of regulation in California is incredible. You can't build a new manufacturing plant in California anymore. So these are things that we know work. The first thing I'll do as a senator is go sit down with Senator Dianne Feinstein and get the water turned on in Central California, where we have unemployment of 40% because of the Endangered Species Act and the Department of the Interior.
We can hear the cheers, and the emails are coming direct from the Central Valley. Ms. Fiorina, please stay there for a moment. If you would join us for the next block, I've got to do some other business elsewhere. The healthcare overhaul put cap-and-trade legislation very much on the back burner. Well, now it seems economic concerns are keeping it there. Carla Fiorina, Republican hopeful for California Senate seat, with us now again. I have an update on that. It appears that Senator Reid wants to put cap-and-trade back on the front burner ahead of immigration reform. Only heard that last night. What do you think about California's special cap-and-trade rules, special emission rules? I know what you think, so tell us quick.
Well, we have something called AB 32.
Yes, you do.
It is a complete job killer. In fact, it's so clearly a job killer that we now have a move in Sacramento to try and suspend it until unemployment reaches 5%.
But Carly, a group of high-tech people up there in the Palo Alto area, Northern California, they say this is a job creator. Green energy is wonderful, gives us green jobs. You know, you're from that area.
Well, and I don't always agree with everyone in that area. The reason some people like this law is because they can see money flowing to their particular sets of investments. But if you step back, what AB 32 does, the same thing cap-and-trade will do. It punishes producers of energy. It punishes consumers of energy. It does not do enough to motivate innovation and entrepreneurship.
But aren't you concerned about the icebergs and the polar bears and global warming?
Here's the thing. If even scientists...
You want to represent California?
I do. And even those scientists who absolutely believe global warming is real and that it is caused by humans agree, a single state acting alone cannot make an impact. A single nation acting alone cannot make an impact. So let's see. That sounds like a really bad deal to me. Let's kill jobs in California. Let's kill jobs in the United States of America. And meanwhile, everyone else does exactly what they want to do, and we have no impact on global warming.
I know it's music to your ears, ladies and gentlemen, but we have to move on. Please stay with us, Carly. Not done yet. Remember, we want to hear what you think. Email us, please, varney@foxbusiness.com. I know a lot of emails have already arrived from the Central Valley of California, which I know quite well. Republican senators blocked debate on financial reform for the second time yesterday. The next vote may get interesting, as some key senators look to switch their votes. Maybe. Carly, do you think that this is going to move forward?
Well, I don't know. I can't predict what the Senate is going to do. But you know what I find?
Would you move it forward?
I would not. And I'll tell you why. Because first, this bill is being put forward in a political climate that is overly theatrical. It reminds me of what happened with Sarbanes-Oxley. You remember Sarbanes-Oxley, which the mark-to-market rules in Sarbanes-Oxley were part of the reason for this meltdown, a set of unintended consequences. Sarbanes-Oxley passed 99-1 in this heated political climate, and nobody thought it through. The truth is, of course we need financial regulatory reform. Of course there was insufficient transparency and accountability. But this bill does nothing to reform Fannie and Freddie, which still own more than half the mortgages in this country and are in conservatorship at the American taxpayer expense. It does nothing to deal with the fact that 20-plus agencies didn't do their job of regulation and oversight. It just ignores that and creates yet another bureaucracy to do yet another job. And it also, I don't think, gets down to the fundamentals, which are, what is the difference in accountability to investors and taxpayers between a commercial bank and an investment bank?
Last one, 10 seconds. Where do you stand on the spectrum of conservatism?
Well,
a Reagan conservative?
Certainly a Reagan conservative. I am a fiscal conservative who believes government is frequently the problem, not usually the solution. I actually am pro-life. I am a social conservative as well as a fiscal conservative, and while not everybody in California agrees with me on the values issues, what everyone in California agrees, and the polls are clear, Jobs are the #1 issue, and the #2 issue is out-of-control government spending, because the people of California have seen what happens.
Charles is cheering you on, and so is Tracy Burns. It was a pleasure. Carly Fiorina, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it.